again, Teresita Blanco de Artsy Sister, and we're continuing with Saturnastra Lamina. This is, chapter 5, the ABCs of Magic. What sort of spell, the Bashmago says, what sort of spell was it? It's not a spell, rather a transmutation of the water, when it was infused with the high qualities of ether. And you take a deep sigh before saying, I think you should stay here a little longer. And I can recognize his stuff, but I can't help you become a stronger mage, and it was foolish for me to even try. At least you are showing an interest in me. It is more than anyone has ever bothered to, says Irving. Don't say that, Irving, and even if I'm not around, you are never truly alone, you say, sitting down to look at him eye to eye. And Irving hugs you and smiles, and you kiss his cheek, and touched by his simplicity, and you narrow your eyes thinking that you are no different than Irving's father, who was just using him. Still, for your sake, there is only so much time that you're allowed to wait before your prey becomes too much for you to handle. Instead of leaving after 6 months, you end up staying in the tower for 2 years. And every process was painfully slow as far as casting was concerned. And despite his affinity with magic, he had no talent for the craft, and he understands all the concept, and he has decent enough memory as the native peasant fellow. Still, he cannot seem to bend and shape magic, and without this basic skill, he will never be a true mage. You begin to fear that drastic measures need to be taken, and before resorting to them, you decide to try one final gambit. You make your way to the top of the Tower of Suberus, and you ask him, when are you going to perform your duties to the world? Whatever do you mean, asks Suberus, looking confused. If you bear the name Suberus, you bear the karmic destiny of the master that came before you. You tell him while wearing your human body, and Suberus shakes his head sadly and responds, I do not know what you speak of. Did not the previous master inform you of the purpose of this tower, you ask him. I do remember some ramblings of serving as a lord for monsters that do not exist. However, I always believe such stories were the paranoid ramblings of a madman, and in the end his madness caused him to take his own life, concluded this Suberus. You never found it odd why all of the previous masters were killed or they often self, you asked, taking a step forward. Indeed, I was not aware and that they would all suffer one violent death for another, and I always assumed that they had died as a result of a failed magical experiment, and such magical deaths often occur in our profession, says Suberus. All I am asking of you is to go outside and cast a series of massive spells for 7 minutes, you beg, holding your hands. Casting outside the tower is strictly prohibited, and doing so will cause one to die from spell exhaustion, says Suberus, shaking his head. You can't die from spell exhaustion because the body naturally regulates how much magic it will let out before you break down, and it is impossible to force the matter even if you are possessed, you explain. I see hundreds of my people die from spell exhaustion before, says Suberus vehemently. In the end, you decide that talking things out will not solve anything, and in the end, you tell Suberus, I want the anchor. What anchor? We don't have any chips, says Suberus, sitting down to continue with his reading, and based on the slime vein in his balding scalp, he's starting to get annoyed by your weird questions. He usually only indulges you so much, and part of the issue is that your face happens to look like his dead daughter. And indeed your face doesn't look like her, but his outer demons have manipulated him to see you this way because they wish to see him suffer. Exasperated, you repeat the anchor, or did the last master forget to mention this as well? I do not know anything about any anchors, and be gone, and I've got so much work to do, and I go bored of your conversation, he says. And before you can protest, a magic circle appears below you, and you are instantly teleported to Irving's room. And you put your hand in your pocket and feel the familiar cold touch of the stone belonging to the original Sphynx. And the little children gather around you, and one of them comments, if the original master is so important, why don't you find his ghost and speak with him? I do not know where he is buried, you respond. He could be buried in the foot of the tower itself, and in our time it was said that the first master of each tower was buried in the foundation, says a child. But I do remember there being only 5 original towers, and each at each of the 5 cardinal points, you comment. And why are the magic, the spells, and the writing so impossible to learn here, as one of the fairies? And other spells from all over the world are based on some logical language of sort, and some of these spells we read here sound a little too much like gibberish. That is because all of the spells here are based on the Vodic manuscript, and the original writer, Emperor Rudolf, was so concerned about having his secret stolen, and to protect his secret he made up his own murky language, and the spellbooks that are used in this tower follow the same paranoid tradition, and his teacher has his own little system of codes and symbols, and the system taught by Myrtis used simple substitution, and all his letters are at least English pronunciation. Still, one can only guess at the spells without learning the language system by relying on the spell component. And there's a limited amount of spells tied to each component and magical ingredients. And those items never change, you explain. His control has not gotten any better, commenced the Bashmago. Some things cannot be helped, and I need you guys to start acting up, you done. If you do that, then you will both be lucky to escape this tower with your lives, says the fairy. It is worth a risk, you answer. And whenever he returns at night, you tell him to have your things ready at the stable, and the Bashmago stands by your side as guard, and you stand out in the middle of the entrance and stretch your wings, and you release a high-pitched screech that bursts the nearby windows and leaves a couple of the servants temporarily deaf, you know. And seeing you acting up gives them the common sense to vacate the premises. And in the meantime, your little protagonist shouldn't start breaking items and smashing the bed and doing all sorts of disrupting nonsense. And this was the last drop, and some of the mages start doing ritual magic to summon Arasa to get rid of the poltergeist for good. And Arasa the snake god of death comes at midnight, gingerly gliding down. And he's about to draw ever so near, but something detains him, and for reasons you don't understand, the sound of your surroundings disappear, and even Arasa starts growing paranoid, and to be rid of the silence, he starts hissing and screeching like a madman. The same is done by the horses and other animals as well, and they have a bizarre fear of silence you do not understand. And you do notice that the ocean waves have gone silent, which is odd because the ocean is not known to do that, like, ever. In knowing this altogether, you take flight and smash to the ground, and after smashing through a respectable layer of hard stone, you reach an ancient crypt. And you are disappointed to know the roof closing over your head, and this tower has the ability to heal itself. And this healing power is a type of magic derived from the elves, and you note in the darkness the mausoleum and the mummified bodies resting on top of the bed. And this was the former necromancy lab, and based on the bricks on the door, there is no way you were going to find out your way inside without breaking something. And a strange pungent smell hangs in the air, smelling of honey and flowers, and your fairies start emitting light in an effort to fight away this eerie silence. And the flowers were all the color of violet and all kinds from bellaflores and verbanas, and the center court has honesty flowers blooming in his body. And he was almost completely covered, and at your touch the flowers around his body start glowing red as if on fire. And the same effect transferred to all of the rest, and based on the pressure behind your head, you realize that you are asleep. And the same strange girl from before has her back turned to you, and she too is gazing at the flowers. And the course takes on a more solid form, and as the body solidifies, you see before you an almond-shaped eyes and the pointed ears too, and the dreamer thankfully grows dark rose for decency's sake, and his hair is raven black and his eyes gray as well. And this is a color not usually associated with elves in this world, and he has a blank hollyhock behind his ear, and smiling he says, "It's been a while," and you raise your hand to stop him from saying the name of his previous model, and then you say, "We no longer use such a name. So what does your kind go by now?" As the first Suberus. "Whatever we desire," you answer. "And I have been watching you for quite some time, and I do not appreciate the way you have been treating my students in my tower," says Suberus. "None of them are willing to help me, and I sometimes feel that they're purposely taking forever to teach my Irving magic," you complain. "You are asking a lot from them, and it is not easy for humans to commit their lives to magic, let alone the life of another. For their life, magic is more of a prestige thing, and nothing to be taken truly seriously," commented Suberus. "Even in death, you also speak of humans with your usual overinflated egos," you say, annoying. "I did not mean to offend you," says this Suberus, getting up from his bed, and he asks, "And I speak of humans more as a concept than an actuality. And if you peel back the skin, elves and humans are almost identical. And if we were so utterly different, it would be impossible for a crossbreed to occur. And despite our longevity, the common cold can easily kill us." "So I heard," you command. And I know you know this, and I only explain this interesting fact to our little welcome visitors as Subero's looking at the little girl from Irving's dreams. I just heard. I can't seem to make her word together with Irving, you say sadly. Then you should not have come here to this school, frowning Subero's eyes, and why is it even a grammar school? And I really consider it as a sort of military magic academy, and I am surprised to see it degrade so quickly in a mere 250 years. Your one mistake was striking humans with consistency, and you are picking up one of the flowers in your hand and remembering why you had come for. You say about the anchor. I might have used for it in the near future. And so Better looks behind his temple and gives you the anchor. And the little girl turns around and asks, "What is the anchor for?" It looks like one of those things you put on a ship to cause by men to sink towards the bottom. Anchors are used for more than drowning people, says Zubedo, chuckling. "Sure they are," you say. And you start blinking to force yourself out of the trance, and indeed you start to become painfully aware of the smell of burning flesh mixed with acrid taste of sulfur. And figures stalk and scratch away at you, but with not much effort, and even the spells that grace you seem to be a mild nuisance at best. And Zubedo is inclined to say more, but it was starting to become painful to remain. It's starting to become painful to remain asleep. And when you awake, you notice the parts of your body have been reduced to mere bones. Inside you stretch your cinder wings and gingerly fly to the vortex of flame helios. And you smash through the tower, followed by the fairies and burning crimson as well. And the Bashmagos is already safely out of the tower with Irving in his path. And the attack had not been perpetrated by the master. However, he had not been inclined to stop it as well. And indeed, we had always stayed our welcome. And you wait outside the tower and pondered how to handle being chased out. And the magical side rumbles as the offended mage tries to send more bad magic after you. However, the tower will not allow for the magic from the inside to bleed over towards the outside. And the Bashmago comments, "Leaving the tower in such a fashion was a lot easier than I expected." You never wondered why you were asked not to cast outside the tower? You say, smiling. "I was told because I would die from spell exhaustion if I used too much magic outside the tower," commented the Bashmago. "Yes, that is indeed the official excuse, and the true reason behind it is a bit more complicated," you say, smiling, "as your flesh is completely restored. And normally you could hear a lot faster, however, that they had you a bit too paranoid for such displays of resilience. And I will explain everything to you one of these days. Until then, I need both of you to try to get a little stronger." "That is easier said than done when you're a corpse," said the Bashmago sadly. "If it makes you feel better, some of my fairies got me a refund from the school, and they did not deserve the money for failing to teach Irving properly," you say, smiling. "What? I do not think I did anything wrong. For example, if you feed John, do you pay for it, or do you ask the restaurant to take it back and bring you good food?" you ask. "And I never ate at a restaurant, so I wouldn't know. And if it isn't anything like the bars and stuff, then I would probably be glad to be fed anything," says Irving, removing his shoes to wet his feet on the ocean. And you decide to remove the harness of the horses to allow them to swim to the end. And you go swimming in the ocean with them along with Irving. And it had been some time since you had gone swimming with him. And you remember just how yesterday you had taught Irving how to swim. And Bashmago refrains from entering the ocean water. And he has a superstitious belief that revenants could not cross running water without assistance. And you suddenly sink in the water as if pulled by something, and Irving is dragged along with you, and recognizing this sensation makes you worry for Irving. And the water around you vibrates, and soon your surroundings look completely different, and the fairies harmonize the surrounding, and once the beast is located in the clockwork surrounding, the hard part begins, and you see Irving disoriented, wandering around the endless corridors as Sphynx lurk ever nearer. And he cannot shake off the sensation of being hunted, and he recognizes his primal fear, and he has felt it many times whenever his charges were being stopped by a wolf or something worse, and in the other time his first recourse was to run away, and you try to reach for him, but in this realm the beast controls the spatial distance between all things, and you have gotten careless, and now Irving might pay the price. And a strange aurora surrounds you as the sky cracks, and you are both hurled back towards the ocean in a fury. And just as quickly as the sensation had arrived, you both find yourself swimming in the ocean, peaceful, as if nothing had ever occurred. And looking disoriented, Irving asks, what just happened?" "Whatever do you mean?" you ask coyly. "And I thought I saw a strange monster in the water, but it's gone." He commenced looking at the water. And you sigh in relief, realizing that the battle was over, and you notice the shade of the original subverters fading away, and the exterior of the tower begins to crack as a response to the power that its master had been forced to use. And it releases the ocean as he starts noticing a strange shimmering monstrosity slightly shimmering beneath the water. And you pray is a bit paranoid, and you stoically wait a few minutes, and in the end the monstrosities depart, leaving only behind the cursed shadow of their non-existence in the back of your mind. And the priest of the Bashmago has seen him, and he rushes into the water and carries Irving out over his shoulder and has dragged you out of the water as well. And you cannot help but grin at the Bashmago increased strength, and indeed he's far more useful and stronger now. And after his daring rescue, the Bashmago braces the ocean elements to fetch their horses as well. And once we are all safe, he draws a magic circle and places 5 candles at each of the cardinal points. And when he completes the barrier, he asks, "What in lava's name were those weird lights?" "Well, since you are disdainfully resting your head on the sand, those things with the tentacles, the many faces, the distorted bodies, and the wings," says the Bashmago, exasperated. "The things you are describing no longer are things, and I didn't see anything," you say, raising your voice, and your eyes betray you as you stare at the shimmering shadow lurking behind the Bashmago. And the mage turns pale as death as he turns around to stare right back, and the scene passes effortlessly through him to continue on his day's march through the ocean. And sighing, you say, "Those things only become real if you see and speak of them, and if you notice their presence, it is best to ignore them. But what if they want to hurt you or the boy? And as a man, it is my duty to protect you," said the Bashmago, punching his chest. And now in your eyes you command, "You are a complicated, stubborn, dead man, my dear Bashmago, and I can see why you became a revenant." "But what are they?" insisted Irving. "Just forget it," you say, trying to bring the conversation to a close. And since they could not let it go, you think up a clever lie, and it takes a few minutes, but in the end you say, "There are many things beside this one. There are many worlds beside this one, and every once in a while worlds collide, and the magic of the gods keep them from blowing up, and while they're passing through one another, sometimes a bit of the other world becomes visible." "So we were experiencing another world just now?" asked Irving. "In a sense, the gods grind you to your home world because they created you. Yes, something like that," you said, looking less brightened up, as liars usually do. And the Bashmago draws closer and stares at you, and in the end he decides to drop the matter altogether. Alright, this is a good place to leave it. I hope you have fun. Bye bye and God bless.